What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a horror movie haul for the month of June, and I'll explain why there might be one missing. But, yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited. So some of you who actually do watch these videos, and whoever you are, thank you very much. You guys are the shit. I love doing these videos. It's just fun to talk about all these different movies. And sometimes I buy stuff that is not even horror and I can talk about it that you guys don't even maybe know about. But yeah, now I'm starting to get kind of into stuff that is a little bit more risky when I collect some of my movies. So last month, we went and actually bought like about 600 movies from somebody locally for about $120. And yeah, I had a small pile of movies that I had purchased or was gifted or was going to give away, and I decided to hold off on that because it was just too confusing. There was just too much to do. So I'm doing my June haul, which has some of the stuff from May in it, so I can thank those who gave me gifts and also point out stuff that we will be doing in the future. Okay? Yay. All right. So oh man, I can't believe I'm starting this one off with this. This is ridiculous. All right, so first up, we got House of the Dead. And yes, this is not a good movie. At least I don't recall it being so. But I've, over the years have gotten a little bit more appreciation for bad movies. And so I'm kind of curious. I haven't seen this in well over a decade now. 2002, guys. Yeah. And this is an Artisan release. Artisan, I believe, also did Requiem for a Dream, if that gives you any idea as to the quality of films that they were putting out. This is the U-Bowl film, who was loosely basing this, or supposedly technically basing this off of the actual video game franchise where you had a light gun and you would shoot the screen repeatedly, which they brought to the Dreamcast with a gun as well. And I still have that and I enjoy playing. I picked this up for $1 at the Goodwill, which we have made quite a few trips to. The only thing bad about the Goodwill that I can say is that there's always a little bit more damage to the exterior case, and they sometimes put stickers on here that are really hard to remove, but not all of them do that, and sometimes you can find some good shit. So it's for $1 it's worth it to me. So, but not only did we pick up this one, we picked up House of the Dead 2 at this recent thing, which, oh my God, I remember this being really bad too. Much worse than the first one, actually, even though the first one did not have it. But I think we're going to be doing a podcast episode on this in the near future, just so we can kind of talk about both of these movies and what we thought of it. And then probably get challenged by U-Bowl to a wrestling or boxing match because we didn't like him or something. I don't know. I had to collect them because why not? And there were DVDs for $1. So I think I actually might have picked up the House of the Dead 2 for $1, maybe $2. Not that bad.
Where do you hide when they're everywhere?
Up next, we got Kibakichi, which is, you can kind of hardly read that there, a series franchise. They have 2 movies and they might have more, but it is basically like action sword fighting with a guy that can turn into a werewolf or a human whenever he wants. So it's like werewolves and swords, which let's be honest, we don't really get to see much of this. Now, I've been wanting to pick these up on DVD for quite a while now, and I saw that they were on Amazon for $10 a piece. So I got both of these, and you can see that these have the Hollywood Videos stickers on them. So these are rentals, but the discs are surprisingly not bad. Probably because nobody knew what the fuck they were renting, so they probably never rented it. But I picked both of these up, Kibakichi 1 and 2, and I think I got them for $4. I was ecstatic about getting these. They were in the cult section. Have you guys seen these? We might do an episode on this, or maybe I'll do a video or something. I don't know. I've been thinking about doing extensive reviews of movies where I talk about different scenes and stuff that made me laugh, things like that. So we'll see. Up next, we got Bug, which was the sort of a thriller movie. It's not really horror, but it's about a guy who is played by Michael Shannon, I think. This is one of his early movies where he and Ashley Judd were in a room together, essentially, where he's losing his mind, living in fear of her abusive ex-husband, but when she begins a romance with Peter, an eccentric drifter, she starts to feel hopeful again until the first bugs arrive. You're not sure if it's in his mind or not, and then she kind of gets dragged into it. It's a really interesting small indie thriller that I enjoyed, and have you seen this movie? Because it's actually pretty good. Up next, we got Party Monster, which is based off the whole New York party scene. But it's got Seth Green and Macaulay Culkin in it, even Marilyn Manson, Dylan McDermott. There's a ton of people in this movie. This is kind of like one of those era pieces where they talk about a specific thing, but it was a big party scene in New York, and they were doing it in like subways and like all these random places that really kind of opened up the party scene for raves and things like that back in the day. But this is a really actually very entertaining, interesting movie to see if you've never seen it. It is definitely not horror, but Christina wanted to pick it up, and I'm glad she did because I like this movie a lot. Up next, we got Mother of Tears, which is the third film in the Suspiria trilogy of the Mother of Tears, the Mother's trilogy. Dario Argento made this movie and of course put it together. It is the third in the sequel, first being Suspiria, then Inferno, and then this one is Mother of Tears. This was the much more extremely violent version, but less on the aesthetics, I think, and just more attention on the practical effects on this one. It does lack a little bit. It's a little bit too heavy of a story, and they don't really do a great job of it. Suspiria is always going to be one of my favorite movies of this trilogy anyway. It's going to be one of my favorite movies that Argento did. It's not for people who don't like slow burns, but maybe this will be better for some of you that do not like slow burns. This is kind of slow and kind of boring, but they do have some pretty glorious fucked up scenes in this. I think there's like nuns and priests and shit like in a basement, like fucking and dying and shit at the same time. So it's kind of depraved. I never owned this, and I don't even think you can get on Blu-ray. I haven't even looked, but we saw this for like a couple of bucks at the thrift store at our third-party trade-in place, and we had to pick it up, so we did. Up next, we got The Fountain, which, speaking of Darren Aronofsky, who did Requiem for a Dream, he did this movie called The Fountain, which is this very deep movie about life, and I barely remember anything about it. We just didn't have this one, so we figured let's get this one too. That was used, by the way. I think we got it for a couple of bucks. We also got The Card Player, which is another Dario Argento film that I don't think I've ever actually fully watched. This is more of his later film making, and there is some pretty cool stuff. This is actually an Anchor Bay release, believe it or not. But yeah, I never did give this one a chance, so we'll probably do a review of this in an episode sometime in the future when we go back to Dario Argento. Have you seen it? We got this used for a couple of bucks. Up next, we got Chuck Norris 3-pack, baby. Yeah. I'm not exactly a huge Chuck Norris fan, but when he goes to hell, or it's some sort of like, they always have those action ones where like, you know, Schwarzenegger deals with like sort of horror or hell. And then they had one with Van Damme where I forget what it was called. It was like Lionheart or something like that. And then this one, The Hellbound, which was another one. So I haven't seen this in a long time. I don't care if it's good. I bought this whole 3-pack for that specific movie in general. So are you guys a fan of these? Should I watch one next after that?
What kind of man kills like this?
We'll know soon enough.
Welcome to hell.
Bam, we got some more. We got a lot here, so I'm going to try to rush through these. This is Bats Human Harvest. It's the actual sequel to the original movie called Bats. Now, the original is a action-packed fucking, we're talking like they spent a lot of money, like $20 to $40 million on this movie, okay? And there are some great practical effects in the original movie that I think people really need to go back and rewatch. We did it on our stream. We do watch parties on Twitch sometimes through Amazon, and we we watch Bats, so it may still be up on there. But if you're a fan and you really want to see the fully unedited with all the gore and everything like that, you can buy the original Bats movie on like eBay or something like that. The one that doesn't say Human Harvest, by the way, special edition, which is like extra footage in the movie, and it's the only way you can see it is on DVD. I loved it so much, and I had such a blast watching it that we picked up the sequel too, which I figure is going to be terrible, but I don't give a fuck at this point. I just want to have completion of these movies because I could not believe I missed Bats, or at least forgotten about it. So, have you seen the sequel though? Is it any good? Up next, I finally sequestered my copy of Drive Angry. I've gotten this movie confused with other Nicolas Cage movies, but this is one where he's gone to hell and he comes back to save his daughter, and he makes a deal with the devil or something like that, and he uses his car. Like, it's ridiculous. But this is a great Nicolas Cage film. It loses some of its luster towards the end, but there is some of the most ridiculous scenes in this movie that I think is worth a watch. Remember I was talking about Chuck Norris going to hell and all that other stuff? We got Nick Cage here. He's done other hell movies, you know, like obviously Ghost Rider and shit like that. But this is a little bit different. This is kind of like the movie Shoot 'Em Up, but with Nicolas Cage and a bigger budget. So it's pretty cool. Like, I really actually enjoy this movie. I'm not just saying that because it's Nicolas Cage. Like, no, my buddy was like, you need to watch this. You haven't seen it. Check it out.
It's over, Milton. Stop the car.
I can't do that.
Really? What makes you think you have a choice?
Because you're obnoxious.
Up next, we got the Cloverfield Paradox, which I picked up on Blu-ray. They might have DVD copies. Netflix obviously has the rights to this. This was the movie that they put out, I think it was like right after the Super Bowl. Pretty sure, 1 year. But this is the third. A lot of people did not like this movie because it didn't really connect again like Cloverfield Lane did or didn't. I actually enjoyed some of the stuff that happened in this movie, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's a good sci-fi film. It's not the most amazing, but I'd watch this over a lot of bad ones any day. Picked it up for like $6. Up next, we got Total Recall 4K. This is the HDR, beautiful looking copy of Paul Verhoeven movie. It's the 30th anniversary of his film. And I'll tell you what, this movie is so underrated. It is a great movie. Like, I know a lot of people have seen it, but if you happen to be one of those people, watch this movie. Total Recall is about this guy who wants to go to Mars. It's in the future, and they actually are inhabiting Mars. And instead of being able to move his entire life, he decides to go to this place called Total Recall, where they basically implant these fake memories into your brain, and you don't know whether it's real or not. But it's an amazing action film, some of the best practical effects you'll ever seen, and holy shit, in 4K, this was amazing. And I got this for $13 on Amazon, so if you're a fan, pick it up. Up next, we got Freeway, which is a great Kiefer Sutherland movie. Always reminded me of The Vanishing, sort of, but the reverse, where Kiefer Sutherland is actually the bad guy. And it's got some comedy thrown in here. They actually made a sequel to this, but I didn't even own it. Reese Witherspoon does a great job in it, being like the kind of dumb but smart, take care of herself girl, while Kiefer Sutherland is this creepy fuck who tries to basically take her. But the back and forth between them is really good. Highly recommend you pick this up. We got this at the Goodwill.
No! You get all them panties off before I get really pissed!
I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah, well, I get claustrophobic sucking strange dick.
Up next, we got the 4K Saving Private Ryan copy. I've been meaning to get this. Honestly, this is one of the biggest action films, war action films, other than like Black Hawk Down. This and that movie, those two movies are just like so insane. I watched it the other day and it's still just as good as it's always been. I don't know what it is, but I like war movies sometimes, and this is probably one of the best. So I got it for like $12. Up next, I got Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2. When I was a kid, I used to love this shit. I realized that Paul Hogan is kind of a prick in real life, I guess. But when I was a kid, he was the shit. So I wanted to pick it up to watch it again. I think it's on Amazon anyway, but at least I have the DVD copies, and I think we got this for like $3. Up next, we got Feast 1, 2, and 3. Now, I have the first Feast unrated on Blu-ray, but Feast 2 and 3, which were not great films, I just had to complete my set before they disappeared, so I had to pick this up. I think I got this for like $10. Feast 2 and 3, unrated. It comes in this 3-pack. Otherwise, the Blu-rays I don't think are unrated. I don't know why. So I had to have these. I didn't really like them, but completionist, had to get it. Up next, one of my favorite movies from last year, Anything for Jackson, made by some guys who made some fucking too many Christmas movies and put out a fucking fantastic movie that is one of the better genre films I've seen. I love this movie. This has an interesting ending that some people were not fond of because it almost feels like it cut short. But the stuff that happens in this movie and the way that they shot it and the reactions, the whole package, this is a great movie. Honestly, I would just blind buy this movie. If you like 80s films and you trust my opinion on stuff, this is a definite buy. I'm not the only one that feels this way about this movie. This is a fantastic film. Buy it, support it, rewatch it. I even think it's up for like $13. I got it for 15. Ooh, one of my favorite things that I just got recently, and this is from Vinegar Syndrome. I bought this myself, by the way. They did not send it out to me, so just so you know, I do buy stuff from them. Scanner Cop and Scanner Cop 2, The Showdown in 4K. Yes, this set is amazing. If you've not seen Scanner Cop, this is a very underrated film that you should check out. The prints on this I checked out are fantastic. They do have HDR. But yeah, I picked up for $60. I had to get it. Scanner Cop is technically associated with the original Scanners movies, but it's like a side story that goes off in a different direction, but still sort of remains in that universe, but not directly. But either way, the Scanner Cop, the very first one, I loved. I thought it was fantastic. I've not seen The Showdown, but in the future, we're going to be doing the original Scanners by David Cronenberg and Scanners 2 and 3 plus Scanner Cop 1 and 2. So all 5 of the films, we'll be doing those. I'm ecstatic about watching these. I want to watch these as soon as possible. I've only popped it on just to check the quality out, but fucking kudos, Vinegar Syndrome. This was a huge one. Up next, we got some giveaways in the next 2 movies that we're going to be showing. I got Ava's Possessions, which is a indie comedy sort of film about this girl who keeps getting possessed. And I got 2 copies. Now, you can pick these up usually at your local Dollar Tree, which I've been looking for them for months and months and months. Probably over a year now since I saw that they put them out. And I finally sequestered 2 copies. So one of them is mine, and I am giving one of them away. This is a great movie. This is really fantastic for indie making film, and it's got some really interesting, funny stuff in this that I think is worth a watch. So I try to include stuff that you would like to watch, not just throwing my trash out there. But we'll give one of these copies away. You can go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our VIP club section. Fill out your information. Make sure you don't throw it in the spam folder, and you are entered in our giveaways that we do very frequently. And it involves a box of movies. As long as your country or your state allows to do giveaways, we do it. Up next, we got another giveaway, which is You Might Be the Killer, which has Franz Kranz in it, most notoriously known for doing the Cabin in the Woods. He was the pothead guy. This one is a twisty, fun indie film that I think was good. I wasn't as blown away by it by some people, but it's still a really decent film. I am including one of these for myself and one of them for our giveaway, so make sure you sign up. Up next, I finally got a copy of Sushi Girl on Blu-ray. I've had multiple versions of this on DVD. Everybody tells me this is a great movie. So I still have not watched it, but they say it's great. So we'll be giving away my DVD copy, and I'm going to be keeping this one. Up next, we got Survival of the Dead, George Romero's. This is the Ultimate Undead Edition. The two movies he did, there was like the one where he did like a found footage-y kind of version. I was not a fan of at all. Like, I didn't like it. I think this is the better of the two. It's still not great, but I still think this has the better atmosphere and the better acting, even if I don't like this movie 100%. I'm a completionist, plus it is George Romero, so I'm going to pick it up, especially when they put it at the Dollar Tree for $1. Up next, we have God Bless America, which, by the way, this movie came out 2 years long before the whole world became very political, and a lot of people were talking about politics. Like, I was talking about politics, but it was nowhere near as popular as it became in like 2014, 2016. This was out in 2012, and this is also by Bobcat Goldthwait. My best Bobcat. It's hard to do his voice. Anyway, he did this movie, which I really enjoyed, and he also did another movie called World's Greatest Dad. Holy shit, I love that movie. That's got Robin Williams in it. This has Bill Murray's brother. It is pretty fantastic. I actually really enjoyed this. Kind of reminds me of the David Cross movie that he also did, and I can't remember what that one's called, but this one's about this girl who is a texting, typical little girl being a snotty brat. This other guy who both are pissed off at the world, and they sort of team up, but they become kind of father-daughter kind of thing going on. But it is a dark, seriously dark comedy. I think you should check it out. Bobcat Goldthwait is actually really damn good with his films. He's surprisingly good, and he also did a Bigfoot movie too, by the way. I think it was called Willow Creek. Check this one out if you see it at the Dollar Tree. It's definitely worth $1.
No one has any shame anymore, and we're supposed to celebrate it. Do you remember when eating rats and maggots on Survivor was shocking? It all seems so quaint now. I'm sure the girls from Two Girls, One Cup are going to have their own dating show on VH1 any day now.
Up next, we got Banshee Chapter, which I had to pick up the Australian version of this because I don't think you can get this on Blu-ray. But Banshee Chapter is a found footage film about this guy who is experimenting on himself with ayahuasca, and he essentially is kind of tapping into MK Ultra, sort of alien feeling stuff lurking behind the threshold of reality. It has a really great performance by Ted Levine, and he plays sort of a Hunter S. Thompson kind of guy, and he does really great in it. There's some really cool stuff that happens in this movie. This is a very underrated film. I think a lot of people know about it. It's not exactly unheard of, but it's a pretty decent one. I would say it's at least a 7.5 as far as found footage goes, maybe even an 8. So a lot of people say it's even higher. So I think I picked that one up for like $26. Up next, we got Mad Max 4K HDR Fury Road, which this is just a beautiful film through and through. And I honestly think, you know, how the director said you should watch it in black and white. I honestly think you should watch it in 4K HDR. I popped it in just to take a look because some of the colors in this movie are just amazing and it just looks beautiful. I picked this up. I've been meaning to get this one for a long time. And Christina and I just like watching this. So up next, we got The Faculty and Phantoms on DVD. I thought this was a Blu-ray. I was completely wrong. It is only a DVD. I would probably have rather just picked up the Phantoms DVD itself. But this was a little bit more affordable. I think it was like $10 or something like that. I went to school with one of the guys in The Faculty, the quarterback that's in this movie, Sean Hattasey. Or Hatosi, however he wants to say it now. I went to high school with that guy. But I actually bought this because of Phantoms. It's a Dean Koontz movie. Is based off of his famous book, which I loved. I read from start to finish. And this has the exact opening of the book. Literally the exact opening of the book. And it kind of has like this Thing vibe to it. And I mean that legitimately. Like, it is very much a Thing movie. Decent performance by Liv Schreiber, who makes me laugh quite a bit in this movie. This is kind of like a mix between The Blob, H.P. Lovecraft, and The Thing. So if you're into those things, I would honestly highly recommend it. But anyway, it's a good movie. Up next, we got Cannibal Ferox, or Pharaoh Make Them Die Slowly, technically, is what I always remember it as. This is Umberto Lenzi's Cannibal Holocaust, essentially ripoff, or supposedly it was, but he actually started the genre, supposedly, but that's more on that when we do a review of this movie. This was actually given to me as a gift by Plemke, who is not only a listener to the podcast, a watcher of the YouTube, also a watcher of the stream, and he's a regular. He buys me these from time to time, and I fucking love you for it, brother. Thank you for buying this for me. This is a tough watch for some people because, yes, you guessed it, there is some animal torture in it, which no one is ever really fond of, but I had to have this just to have it. It's not like I'm going to need to upgrade this in 4K or anything like that. But I do like Italian horror, so there's a soft spot in there for the other stuff in the film, including penises getting cut off. You heard that right. Thanks, Plemke. All right, up next, we got Natural Born Killers, the director's cut, which contains exclusive, unseen, unedited footage. I'm surprised that this movie doesn't have a unedited version on Blu-ray that I know of. And if there is, I'm not 100% sure, but this I know for a fact is Oliver Stone's like director's cut, and I had to have this. We bought this for like $5 at the trade-in store. This is a great movie. What do I need to say about it? I wish that I had like a 4K of it or like a Blu-ray of it because it is so pretty. This was a movie that I hadn't seen anything like it, and I don't think many of the world had. A lot of people considered it to be distasteful, but he really nailed culture of people who really admire people like that are natural born killers, and these are really methodical, well thought out characters that I think Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis did a fantastic job. There's a lot of cameos in this that you would not believe. It's well worth a rewatch. We're gonna watch it soon. Whoa! We're down to the very bottom here. I got a fucking movie from Vinegar Syndrome called All American Murder. I'm doing a terrible Walken impersonation, but he's in this movie. This is sort of a crime thriller action movie that Christopher Walken plays a detective, and I've never seen. Vinegar Syndrome sent this out to me to do a review, so be on the lookout for that soon. I've just been busy as hell lately, so I hope you understand. All right, last but not least, I picked this up at the used trade-in store. Well, that's terrible. But this is Sliders. If you can see that, it's a lot of, Sliders, the TV show. These are DVDs. I picked up the first and second season, which is this. Then I picked up the third season, which you can barely see because the cover got all fucked up. But this is the only ones that they had. Picked up separately this one for cheap. I think I got it for like $8 or something online. But yeah, this is the season 1 through 4. They had 5 seasons, but the 5th season was shit. I may or may not pick that up in the future. I paid, about $20 for 4 seasons of Sliders, and there is a lot of fun sci-fi stuff about these group of people that are like going through different dimensions. They're just different copies of the same dimension. So it's like they go into alternate realities of different scenarios. Like one place they go into in the pilot has everybody drive on red lights instead of green lights. It's something as simple as that can change, but everything else is very close. It's just a few things that are kind of similar, but it gets crazier and crazier. If you're a sci-fi fan and you enjoy this, you can't go wrong with this. All of them are up on Peacock, so if you want to check them out. But yeah, guys, that's everything that we got for the month of June. And, it's a lot. I like talking about these things, and I hope you guys enjoy me talking about them and maybe find something new or something that you haven't seen in a while that you might want to rewatch again. That's how I kind of look at these videos. It's like, oh, it's a reminder for things, or, just an idea starter. Is there anything in this pile that you think that would be something that you would like to pick up or you would like to see? Please let me know in the comment section down below. If you made it to the end of this fucking video, you're a goddamn hero. And I'm going to use a password to see if you pay attention from here on out. Let's say butterscotch. So if you made it to the end here, use it in some fashion in the words that you're going to tell me. Don't make it too obvious so everybody else doesn't know. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me to talk about these movies. I hope to see you next time. We got more reviews. We got a podcast up where we talk about vampire films, The Hunger, and Near Dark. So if you want to listen to that, you can check that out on longlivethevoid.com. But other than that, thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, long live the void.